Hey guys, Sue's here. Welcome back to another What's for Dinner on Keto. Easy keto dinner ideas and keto recipes to help motivate you to get your keto meal prep and batch cooking on. We try to make these videos every single week, so if you're not already subscribed to the crew, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you never miss a video. Let's get into it. First up, we made some Keto Cauliflower Pizza Casserole. I love this. The ingredients are easy to get, even under quarantine. To start with, I took a large skillet, a tablespoon of butter over medium heat. Once my butter was melted and stopped to bubbling, I added one small minced onion to that. And I'm just gonna cook this onion up until it gets nice and brown on the edges. Then I'm gonna add a heaping teaspoon of minced garlic to it. And then I'm gonna stir it constantly for about a minute after that. To that, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, and I'm just going to continue cooking this until most of the vinegar has evaporated and it's a nice syrupy texture. To that, I'm adding 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, and after I mix that around, I'm adding 6 ounces of cream cheese. Now, this cream cheese is already at room temperature. I just broke it into chunks. To that, I added 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I'm gonna mix this all together until it's all incorporated and melted. Now to that, once it's all melted, I added a seasoning blend. I did change this up from the original recipe linked down below, but I added a half a teaspoon of dried oregano, a half a tablespoon basil, a teaspoon of sea salt, a fourth a teaspoon of ground black pepper, and probably about an eighth of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And then I just mixed that all together. To that, I added some mozzarella cheese. I just added 1 cup here, and I'm gonna stir that until it is melted as well. Now in an 8x8 baking dish, I'm spraying it down with a little olive oil spray, and I went ahead and did a steam bag of cauliflower in the microwave. I think this is a either 12 or 16 ounce bag, and I'm gonna go ahead and put half of that in the bottom of my casserole dish. To that, I have 3 ounces of pepperoni here. I'm gonna put half of that on top, and another cup of mozzarella cheese. Now I'm gonna do another layer of the rest of my cauliflower, the rest of my pepperoni, and then we're gonna take that cheese sauce that we just made, and it has thickened up quite a bit, so I just put it on here in dollops, and then I'm using a spoon to smooth it out before topping with the last cup of mozzarella cheese, popping this in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. Here it is when it comes out. You can see that cheese all nice and brown on top, and here it is all plated up. This was super duper good, very easy, very quick, and you can get your hands on all the ingredients even under quarantine with grocery delivery or pickup. Next up, we're making these Keto Oven-Baked Pork Chops with broccoli. So to start with, over low to medium heat, I am taking a small saucepan and adding to that a tablespoon of butter, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and 3 heaping teaspoons of minced garlic. And I'm just gonna mix all of this up together. I'm doing it over the heat to just make it easier. So that I'm adding a tablespoon of dried parsley and almost just shy a teaspoon of thyme and a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. And I'm just gonna mix this up until it is all melted and incorporated. Taking a baking dish, 9x13, adding 4 bone-in pork chops, washing my hands really well, and then I'm gonna pepper and salt each of these. I opted to put my salt and pepper directly in my pork chops instead of in my butter and cheese blend. And then I'm just gonna use a fork and flip these pork chops over and do that same seasoning combo on the other side, just salt and pepper. And now I'm gonna take my butter and cheese blend, and I'm gonna add about half of it to my pork chops. So I'm just dividing that evenly on each of them, and then using that same fork to just spread that out. Now I'm going to put some tinfoil over these to help keep them from drying out, pop them in a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. While those are in the oven for the first go around, I'm going to take the rest of my seasoning and butter cheese blend, put it in a separate dish, Now I'm adding a 1 pound bag of the Kirkland's organic broccoli. You can see the ice on this. It is still frozen. This would be easier to do if it was thawed, but I wanted my broccoli to stay pretty firm when I cooked it. So I did it frozen and just mixed that in and coated it as well as I could with the rest of the blend. Pulled my pork chops out of the oven, and now I'm adding that frozen broccoli to the top and in all the holes around it. And then I'm taking some mozzarella cheese, I'd say probably a cup total, and adding 1/4 of a cup to each pork chop. And then I am going to pop this back in the 400-degree oven uncovered for another 20 minutes. Now these pork chops were, kind of thick, so that's why I did the cooking time I did, but you need to adjust this according to how you like your pork chops and how thick they are. Here it is all done. Oh my gosh, so delicious. And here it is all plated up. These were super, super good. And, if you've watched me for a while, I love pork chops just about any single way you can cook them. And this is just another thing to add to your repertoire in case you get bored of eating them the same way. But I could really eat like fried pork chops every night of my life and be pretty happy. All right, guys, next up we have this Philly Cheese Steak Casserole. It is not much to look at, but oh my gosh, did it taste so delicious. This is based on a recipe from That Low Carb Life. I will link it down below as always. Of course, I switched it up. I'm taking 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and I am browning that using my little meat chopper upper there. Best tool I've ever bought, link down below. And to that, I'm adding some peppers and onions. Now, I think this is a 20-ounce bag. I buy them frozen. Can't hardly get your hands on produce right now. So I just took those, thawed them, ran them through my little mini processor, and I'm adding the entire bag to the ground beef. Now, at this point, you could take some of your excess grease out of your ground beef. I did absorb a little bit of it up with a paper towel before I added in this pepper mixture. To that, I'm adding a heaping teaspoon of minced garlic and some seasoning salt. I added a teaspoon of seasoned salt and some ground black pepper, mixing that all together until it's just cooked and mixed well. In a separate dish, I'm taking 4 eggs and adding to that 1/4 cup of heavy cream, a teaspoon Worcestershire sauce, and a teaspoon hot sauce, and just mixing that all together, whisking it up. 8x8 square baking dish, spraying it with a little olive oil spray, and I'm gonna add my meat and pepper mixture to that. And then I'm topping it with provolone cheese. I think the recipe called for 4 slices, but I'm using 6 because I love cheese and I would like some in every bite, please. And then I do have my oven already preheated to 350 degrees. Topping this with that egg and cream mixture. And I'm just gonna pop this in uncovered for 35 minutes. Here it is all plated up. This was super duper good. My youngest could not eat this because she's allergic to eggs, but they were having a spaghetti night anyway. This is awesome. It stores and reheats really well, and it almost tasted better the next day. Last up, we have this pan-seared chicken with a balsamic cream sauce and caramelized onions. Oh my gosh, this was really, really good. I did spend a longer amount of time cooking this dish than I normally would, but to a large skillet over medium heat, I added 2 tablespoons of butter. And while that was still melting, I went ahead and added 1 medium onion that I just sliced up. And I'm going to cook this down and really take my time with it to caramelize these onions until they're nice and brown, as you can see here. I spent about 20 minutes cooking these onions slow and getting them just to that perfect texture that I wanted. Then I removed them from the heat, took another large, deeper skillet, added another 3 tablespoons of butter to it, and while that was heating, I went ahead and took this chicken. It's 1.5 pounds of chicken breast that I just cut in half, and then I also put them in a bag and kind of pounded them out to make them thinner so they would cook up faster. Seasoned them with salt and pepper, putting them in that hot butter with the seasoned side down, letting them brown on one side, and then flipping them to brown them really well on the other side. And then I'm going to remove these to a separate dish for now. They are not cooked all the way through yet, but don't worry about that. We're going to add them back later. Going ahead and scraping up all of those yummy bits out of my pan. And to help with that deglazing process, I am adding a half a cup of chicken broth. I'm going to bring that to a simmer and let that cook for probably about 5 minutes. Then I cut the heat down some, and I am adding some heavy cream to that. A cup of heavy cream. 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, some sea salt, and some pepper. And then I'm just gonna mix this all up and go ahead and let this simmer for about another 10 minutes. At this point, you could add mushrooms to this dish if you want, but I don't like mushrooms, so I'm leaving them out. But look at the original recipe down below and you can see how she did it. I added my chicken and all its juices back to the pan, and I am putting a lid on it to help that cooking process, make sure it's cooked all the way through. After I cooked that for about 15 minutes, took a clean fork, removed my chicken from the pan. Now I'm gonna add those caramelized onions to that cream and vinegar mixture, and I'm adding about a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese to that as well. And I'm just gonna mix this all together until it is melted and all incorporated. And then to plate it, I just did some cauliflower rice steamed in the microwave, chicken on top, caramelized onions, and Parmesan vinegar cream sauce on top of that, and a little parsley just to give it a pop of color. And there you go, guys. That's the pan-seared chicken with balsamic cream sauce. This tasted very fancy. It was very delicious. There you go, guys. That's this week's What's for Dinner on Keto. Easy keto dinner ideas and keto recipes to help you out with your meal planning and your batch cooking, meal prep. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up, comment down below, and make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Share this with your friends. Really, the more engagement the video gets, the more motivated we are to keep making them. Stay safe, stay healthy. Till next time. Bye, guys.
But what do you want? What's your biggest need? Every hour we spend together, then suddenly the chances are small, just like the line.